Got four of a kind on everything. I gotta live like a king. Hey, catch this rhythm. You feel that? That's called playerism. I'm on the scene, a player clean, poker face, four queens. I got four of a kind on everything. Dig this, living elite. I don't feel complete without kicking at my feet in a Rolls Royce every week. Maybe this is deep. Listen close when I speak. I need to at least, cause I'm too much. I'd be a fool if I love him. You'll be a fool if you trust him. Here with my niggas, we keeping it gangsta. Yeah, I'm a slayer, I'm just keeping it player. I'm fucking her now, we're man eating it later. That's maybe why he is a hater. I'm wearing all black like I'm being a raider. You talk to police, we call you a traitor. I'm running the city, they call me for favors. I'm running the city, they call me the mayor. It's getting political with me, my street presidential, she give me the quit banging my line, ho. Quit banging my line, ho. When you see me act like you don't even know me, ho. When you see me act like you don't even know me, ho. Come on, baby, get a clue. How you do what you do? How do you fall in love with me, but I'm not in love with you? Peace to the saints! Peace to the saints! Peace to the saints. We got trending news here, and as I said before, I'm trying to do this one more often so that we don't get too loaded up. The world's moving fast. This is the most important news and current events from around the world. There's one particular headline that'll lead today, which is Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Well, turns out I could look in her face and tell that she's quite crazy. So I'm not at all surprised that she's been, I don't know, accusing people of things? I don't know. Causing problems? I don't know. Making up divorce accusations? We're going to get into it. Let me go ahead and give you a quick review of the news that we have today. And of course, thank you to those who support this particular segment. We have Ecuador prison clash leaves at least 15 dead, 20 injured. That's quite a few dead. Of course, we have Jolie details Brad Pitt's abuse allegations in court filing. Oh, I guess those are those accusations we're talking about. Kim Kardashian fined $1 million by SEC over crypto promotion. Well, the curious thing is, did she make more than $1 million? If so, then that's not a good punishment. Chinese billionaire Richard Liu settles U.S. grape allegation. Oh, settled, huh? I mean, he had to pay her off. Shocker that she would accept money for her pain. Curious. Nobel season is here. 5 things you need to know about prizes. Now, this is an important thing. I'm actually quite curious myself. I had the good pleasure of having professors who were Nobel laureates. But what exactly does that mean? Depositors storm 4 Lebanese banks demanding their own money. Oh, this is going to be deeply educational, especially for you people who want to understand government and how the government's probably controlling you and I. Elon Musk plans to end the Ukrainian war. Infuriates people on Twitter. Oh, that sounds curious, and he's certainly making a bid for political power. Wouldn't be surprised if this guy eventually tries to run for governor or maybe even president. Uganda's president fires military son after offensive tweets. Well, I'm glad at least someone's being held accountable for their social media. Apparently, we don't hold politicians or female police officers accountable in America. They get to be TikTok thoughts. Finnish city removes last publicly displayed statue of Lenin. Destroying history and heritage, are we? Not surprised. Police article. California serial killer on a mission in slayings. Well, you know, in California, people probably need to die anyways. Relatives plead for tips on kidnapped family, including baby. Well, I pride myself on my own ruthlessness, but if you're kidnapping babies, damn it, you probably got me beat. Shout out to this guy. We need to hire this guy. He's a real hitman here. Let us start by showing love to those who show love to us, to the men who pay what they owe, the men who stand up to be counted.
Neil says, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. Neil's very loyal and consistent.
Yep. And on PayPal, we have Nathaniel. He said, I was disappointed in Andrew Tate's performance during his interview with Piers Morgan. You should do a critique on Floyd Mayweather's interview against Brian Kinney to show how to properly dominate in a hostile verbal engagement against a hater.
That's curious. Now, question is, how recent is that interview? If it's an old interview, probably won't get people tuning in. But Floyd's a clever guy, and it's ironic. People like 50 Cent like to make fun of him for being, as they would call it, illiterate. But he seems to be quite clever, if you ask me. Making $1 billion in a sport, that's quite clever.
We have Teddy said, peace to the saints. Saint, that first track that come on the video is a funky beat.
Appreciate it.
And Akeem came in with $50.
Baller alert.
He said, peace to the saints, paying what I owe.
Peace to the saints. It's a pleasure to see you again. Had the pleasure of speaking with Akeem just recently. Phenomenal product the Saint has created. And when I see guys like Akeem creating excellent products, it makes me so proud. Lets me know that, A, the education is good, but more importantly, people are taking it and applying the knowledge. And I'm sure he will make a great sum for this product he's about to come out with. I'll be one of his customers, that's for sure. First piece of news, Ecuador prison clash leaves at least 15 dead and 20 injured. Now, my first guess when looking at this kind of a headline is, I'm assuming these are prisoners dead, right? And also, truth be told, anytime I hear of something going on in Latin America, I always think there's probably some corruption involved. I mean, let's be real here. When El Chapo was in prison in Mexico, he was able to escape. I'm going to go ahead and say some of the prison staff probably helped him. But we're in Ecuador. Let's see what happens.
Before you start, Jerry's in a cash app. He said, peace to the saints. Always appreciate your wisdom.
Peace to the saints. Thank you for supporting this segment, Jerry. Not just being a silent watcher, but a supporter means a lot. A clash between inmates armed with guns. Wait, did I just say inmates armed with guns?
You did.
The kind of jail is that? Now, granted, your boy's too pretty to go to jail, and ain't no women in there, so I can't really go in there. It wouldn't be suitable. But I will go ahead and say if the inmates have guns in jail, I for sure don't want to be in that one. Something's wrong. A clash between inmates armed with guns and knives. Oh, they got the whole kit and caboodle. Inmates armed with, you heard it, guns, and yes, you heard it, knives inside the Latacunga prison in central Ecuador on Monday left at least 15 people dead and 20 injured, authorities said. I'm surprised authorities said anything. This is embarrassing. I wouldn't have said a damn thing. I would have pled the fifth, kept silent, because this ain't good. Officials attribute the fighting to national and international drug trafficking groups, which have turned the Andean nation's prisons into the scene of repeated massacres as the groups fight for power and drug distribution rights. Now, my curiosity is this drug distribution rights within the prison or just in general? Because I couldn't imagine that the market is so thriving within an Ecuadorian prison that we got to go out and kill each other. So my assumption is that they're warring gangs, drug gangs, and they're fighting for dominance in general, and this is spilled into the prisons. Ecuador's, and mind you, side note, if I'm in prison and we got guns in prison, I'm more so thinking if we can get the gun in the prison, can't we get me out of the prison? I wonder if they got some broads in there too. What you think? I'm curious, huh? I can't say that I've seen too many chicks from Ecuador that were bad. In fact, I don't know if I can name any, but I'm sure there's something out there. Ecuador's National Penitentiary Service confirmed the death toll in the Latacunga prison, located 50 miles south of the capital of Quito. Agents are still searching the prison's pavilions for bodies. Videos in which gunfire and screams of inmates can be heard were posted on social media. Word. See if you can find one. Actually, don't. That's going to get us banned. But I'm curious. See if you can find one for me to watch after this. Some 316 inmates were killed inside Ecuador's prison last year. God damn. Is that a lot? I don't know. We need a comparison basis, but it sounds like a lot. According to the Penitentiary Service. I mean, you know what? At this rate of murder within the prisons, low key, you ain't gonna need prisons. You just let them all kill each other. Quite a strategy. So far this year, there have been 90 deaths. The worst massacres took place in September of last year in the Litoro Penitentiary in Guayaquil. where 125 prisoners were killed. Goodness, in one go? Okay. Ecuador's prison system is designed for about 30,000 people, but some 35,000 inmates were held in 53 state prisons as of last month. Just 30,000 inmates? That's not very much at all. You'll have to tell me the population of Ecuador must be quite small. Maybe that's why I haven't met any bad Ecuadorian chicks. Wow, sir. That's deep.
It says 17.64 million.
17 million?
Yeah.
That's not a ton of people. Okay. None of the above 101 writes tuition. Enjoyed you exposing the repulsive tactics the libs used on the earlier stream. Oh, truly a pleasure. Matthew Stevenson writes, peace to the saints. You're almost at 100K subscribers. Congrats. It's an honor to have been a part of this family since 20,000 subscribers. That is extraordinary. Wow. Hell, I don't even know if I was a part of a family of 20,000 subscribers. That's impressive. He writes, thank you and Bridget for everything. Hey, truly a pleasure. Okay, so now let's get a little deeper into the news. Actually, I don't want to give you the main one yet. We're going to do one more. Kim Kardashian fined $1 million by SEC over crypto promotion. Now, anytime you get fined $1 million, I'm going to go ahead and say you did something wrong. Moreover, why is Kim Kardashian promoting crypto anything? Do we really think that Kim Kardashian comprehends blockchain or any of the more nuanced things about cryptocurrency? Highly doubt it. I'm imagining she's doing it for the money, which means she's basically scamming her own fans. They're the ones who choose to be fans of hers. Let's hear about it. The long list of celebrities promoting cryptocurrencies just got shorter. Kim Kardashian is being barred from doing so for 3 years and will pay $1 million fine to settle federal charges that she recommended a crypto security to her 330 million Instagram followers without making it clear that she was paid to do so. You know, that's reasonable. I think that's completely reasonable to have to disclose that, hey, they're paying me to do this. You know, as in, hey, this might not be a good thing. I'm doing it for the money. Moreover, she has 330 million followers. I don't know what percentage are fake, but she has more than the whole country of Ecuador. That's some serious power. These are the kind of things that societally we need to address, because having someone with the IQ of a doorknob, and she's kind of similar to a doorknob in that everyone gets a turn, but someone having the IQ of a doorknob having that many followers is probably dangerous. While we're out canceling an Andrew Tate, we should probably cancel Kim Kardashian along with him while we're canceling. The reality TV star also must give up the $250,000 she was paid for the Instagram post. Dang, this bitch got $250,000 for an IG post? Dang. About Ethereum Max tokens, plus interest, according to a Securities and Exchange Commission settlement announced Monday. Well, we don't know how much of the cryptocurrency she actually got to do this, huh? And that's actually much harder to track. I'm betting she didn't disclose that either. Kardashian is the latest celebrity to get ensnared in regulations that require full disclosure by people getting paid to promote financial products. And this, I'm not into regulation. Truth be told, regulation generally hampers capitalism. But there are some regulations that are completely reasonable, and they're called consumer protections. This is a consumer protection which protects you and I from being scammed by the likes of, I don't know, big fake lip internet bimbo who doesn't know anything about what she's talking, but yet promotes it to you and I. In 2020, actor Steven Seagal, the old dude with the ponytail, people are listening to Steven Seagal, agreed to pay more than $300,000 as part of a similar settlement with the SEC, which also banned him from promoting investments for 3 years. Who's taking investment advice from like a dude who used to be a fake martial artist? Good Lord. In 2018, the SEC settled charges against professional boxer Floyd Mayweather and music producer DJ Khaled. We the best. Another one. You the best. You special. You important. For failing to disclose payments they received for promoting investments in digital currency. Goodness. Many celebrities and athletes regularly promote crypto through advertisements on TV and online in ways that do not violate the law. Matt Damon, Tom Brady, Reese Witherspoon, Gwyneth Paltrow are among those who use their fame to spread enthusiasm for cryptocurrencies. And I'm going to go ahead and bet my life and your life as well as the life of all of our unborn children, that none of these fools have the foggiest idea about what cryptocurrency is strong because of what factors or the underlying blockchain technologies that they operate on. Long story short, enough of that. Basically, woman scamming her fans. This is basically the rich who have no regard for how they continue to make money so that they can fund their lavish lifestyles at the expense of their foolish supporters. What else is new? You caught up?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Here we go with the big piece of news. And it's called Jolie details Brad Pitt abuse allegations in court filing. Yes, ladies and saints, you have it here. I think we might have another Johnny Depp situation, unless Brad Pitt's actually a goon, which I highly doubt, and I'll tell you why. I don't think that goons adopt kids that aren't theirs. I don't think that goons adopt random black kids from Africa or Asia or basically any country that's not a white country so that it's obvious these kids are adopted. Look at them. It's a Chinese baby. It's not mine. I'm a good person. Yeah, I don't think that goons do that. He clearly is a softie and a simp, is my guess. Let's see what the article says. But just side note, looking at Angelina Jolie's face, she looks like a psychopath to me. Also, shout out to her for being one of the early white women to get the lip injections. What do you call those? What is that called?
Fillers.
Fillers, lip fillers. She's one of the originators, a pioneer in lip filling. Los Angeles, a court filing Tuesday from who? Angelina Jolie alleges that on a 2016 flight, yes, you heard it, goddammit, 2016, what is that, about half a decade ago? That's right. These women have excellent memories, especially when it comes to slapping your ass with a case. 2016 flight. Brad Pitt grabbed her by the head. Hey, bitch, gotcha. Grabs her by the head like it's a basketball and shook her. And then choked one of their children. He's shaking her head. I guess he got one hand on her head. Little kid runs up. Not my mommy. Shut up, you little. Grabs her little kid by the throat. He's choking the kid. He's shaking her head. He's multitasking. Chokes one of their children and struck another when they tried to defend her. I'm guessing maybe he gave the kid the people's elbow when it ran up. Maybe it was a kick or a knee. I don't know, but this man is talented. Sign him up for an MMA contract. He's going yay yay. Anyways, the description of abuse on the private jet came in a cross complaint Jolie filed in the couple's dispute over a French home. Oh, it's about money. I see. Shocker. And you know, when you expose the true wickedness of human beings today is that you got a couple multimillionaires fighting over millions, as though somehow if they don't have hundreds of millions, they just ain't gonna sleep right at night. That's the problem. There's no spirituality in these individuals, only evil. Not surprising with those in the entertainment industry. They're often exposed for their frailties. Anyways, let's get back to the filth. The descriptions of abuse on the private jet came in a cross complaint Jolie filed in the couple's dispute over a French home and winery they co-own that is separate from their ongoing divorce. Oh, they're getting divorced. Isn't that a pity when your ass then adopted 32 kids from around the world? You got the United Nations of kids, now you're getting divorced. Thanks for doing all these kids a disservice. A representative for Pitt, who was not authorized to speak publicly, strongly denied Jolie's allegations and called them, quote, another rehash that only harms the family, end quote. Well, ain't no family no more. There's a divorce going on, dear buddy. So pay attention.
Matthew's back and said, I appreciate the news.
Truly appreciate you. Thank you for supporting this segment, Matthew. The allegations of abuse on the plane first became public shortly after the flight. Okay, that's curious, because this allegation was 6 years ago, but it's saying it became public 6 years ago. I don't know. I don't know about that. What do they mean by public? But reports were initially vague and details were kept sealed in divorce documents and investigations by the FBI and Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services, both of which found that no action against Pitt was necessary. AKA, she lying. No way in hell the FBI's letting you off the hook just for fun. A judge gave Pitt 50-50 custody of the children after a closed-door trial in which the allegations were aired. I'm just trying to imagine how funny this was. She's like, he had me in the headlock. He was choking a little black baby. Little Asian baby walked up. He kneed the Asian baby. It was a flying tiger knee. Yeah, he's mastered the technique. He was doing it all at once. And while he was doing all of this, the private jet just kept flying. Pilot kept flying. Stewardess kept walking by, asking if anybody needed any wine and crackers. At which point he politely declined and continued choking the living daylights out of me, elbowing the kid and choking the other kid. Craziness. Okay. Doesn't sound realistic to me personally. But hey, I don't know how the Hollywood elite live.
Matthew's back again and said, "You're welcome, big homie."
Appreciate it. Wow, he said, I'm going to represent for those who don't care.
Yeah.
All right, all right. A judge gave Pitt 50-50 custody, but an appeal court subsequently disqualified the private judge for not disclosing possible conflicts of interest after a motion from Jolie nullifying the decision. More details of the allegations were revealed earlier this year when a Jolie lawsuit against the FBI over Freedom of Information Act request was made public. Wow, she done sued the FBI. Look, shorty getting out of control. There's just some fights you don't want to start. Me personally, I wouldn't have done it. But we all know that women tend to go a little lulu cuckoo. Wowzer. The New York Times first reported the court filing. The filing says that on September 14, 2016, Jolie, Pitt, and their 6 children from all around the world were traveling from the winery Chateau Maribel to Los Angeles. Pitt's aggressive behavior started even before the family got to the airport. Oh, he was lit in the car, apparently, with Pitt having a confrontation with one of the children. This man turning up on the kids? Say it ain't so. After the flight took off, Jolie approached Pitt and asked him what was wrong. Baby, what's wrong? I didn't drink too much goddamn wine at the winery. I'm going up. Yeah, bitch. And the kid's getting it too. After the flight took off, she says, baby, what's wrong? The filings state, Pitt accused her of being too deferential to the children and verbally attacked her. Okay, so he's saying you're not exercising any discipline. Well, my guess is that he's not exercised discipline on her. Hence, you get this kind of behavior.
CJ said, "Peace to the saints."
Shout out to CJ. Truly appreciate
And
the
on
support.
PayPal, Joshua came in with tuition.
Shout out to Joshua. Was that from Saint City?
No, the Joshua, that was at a conference.
Okay.
Joshua.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Good to hear from you. Later, it says, quote, he pulled her into the bathroom and began yelling at her. That must be a very spacious bathroom. Shout out to the ballerism, you heard me? Number one, you might not realize not all private jets have bathrooms, and those that do, you might imagine the bathrooms are not necessarily large, but apparently theirs is 2-person big. That's good. Pitt grabbed Jolie by the head and shook her. Listen to me. That doesn't sound terribly bad. I'm not condoning it. It doesn't sound terrible, though. And then he grabbed her shoulders and shook her again. Ah! I've heard worse. Before pushing her into the bathroom wall. Okay, he getting a little bit angry. Did not tell you. One of the children, who were between 8 and 15 years old at the time, verbally defended Jolie, the countersuit says, and Pitt lashed out. Well, first off, I completely agree. Hey, mind your own damn business. Stay out of grown folks' business. That's what the blacks say. Do others say that? Let me know. Quote, Pitt lunged at his own child. Is it really his own child? That's neither here nor there. Pitt lunged at his own child and Jolie grabbed him from behind to stop him. Oh, she's swift, is she? To get Jolie off his back, Pitt threw himself backwards into the plane seats, injuring Jolie's back and elbow. Well, I'm sure those were plush, nice, soft leather seats. I don't know how she ended up injured, but it's kind of crazy to have a brawl on your private jet against your wife and your kids. This sounds completely Jerry Springer. The children rushed in and all bravely tried to protect each other. Before it was over, Pitt choked one of the children and struck another in the face. This man's a goon. If this was real, I wish somebody had some footage. The document says he subsequently poured beer on Jolie and poured beer and red wine on the children. Come on, Saints. Does this sound real? This sounds a little bit too grimy. I don't know if this happens in real life. Caught up?
Joshua said it's freestyle Joshua.
Okay. The one with the bars.
Yes.
Malave.
On Cash App, we have Melvin said Sinning Intuition.
Shout out to Melly Mel.
And Deeply Goated said first time super chatter. I wanted to know what I should do with the college refund I received. I also wanted to know how should I move as a freshman who started school late.
Well, when he says college refund, I assume that he's maybe speaking of his financial aid check. So if you're asking me right now, briefly, I would say probably just save it. We'd have to know a little bit more about you to give you any specifics. So I think to start with, saving it would be a great idea. Pretend as though you don't have it. Continue working your job. And with regards to starting college late, there's nothing wrong with that. You're not on anyone else's schedule. Try hard, focus, study, and utilize the student support services, which are the free tutoring services that you find at every American university.
CJ is back and said, real life Mr. and Miss Smith, you hate to see it.
Yeah, but we don't even know if we're really seeing it. It's kind of a sad thing. These are just her words. But I imagine if she's suing the FBI, there may be some private information that she wants public, which probably is to just help her get the money she's seeking. Really sad. Jolie gave an account of the flight to 2 FBI investigators in the days that follow. I'm just wondering, how is it when you have a domestic dispute, that's usually the police that deal with that? Why is the FBI involved? I don't know. Maybe because it was in air and it was interstate. I don't know. Intercontinental. I don't know. But it sounds as though they're getting special treatment, which could have sworn we all get fleeced for taxes. It apparently redacted a report released by the agency. Okay, so apparently she's suing the agency because they're not giving the accurate report. I don't know. It included a photo of a bruise on Jolie's elbow. Oh my goodness. Can we have a bruise somewhere more legit? Personally, your elbow? Okay. And a rug burn type injury on her hand. Okay, so you were beat, you have a bruise on your elbow and a rug burn on your hand. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Can we see a bruise on the face or something? Can we see those choke marks from you being choked out? Can we see the kids' choke marks? Because this all sounds phony. In it, she said that she had seen Pitt have 2 to 3 drinks, but said he appeared articulate and not intoxicated. The investigators met with federal prosecutors and, quote, it was agreed by all parties that criminal charges in this case would not be pursued due to several factors, end quote. Yeah, I always find it funny when the chick doesn't want to pursue criminal charges when it happens, but then she wants to wait years later, in this case over half a decade, and then pursue charges because it's going to benefit her financially. Also pursuing charges at a time where there's absolutely less evidence. Curious. The 47-year-old Oscar-winning actor and director Jolie and the 58-year-old Oscar-winning actor Pitt were among Hollywood's most prominent couples. Yeah, we don't care. Anyways, let's hear something relevant. They had been romantic partners, as they call it, for a decade when they married in 2014. That's a long-standing relationship. Jolie filed for divorce in 2006. Wait, what? They married in 2014, got divorced in 2016? Oh, that's weird. And a judge declared them single in 2019. That's a short marriage. Sounds like 2 years if math serves me correctly. But the divorce case has not been finalized, with custody and financial issues still in dispute. Oh, I bet them financial issues damn sure are in dispute. So here we go. We're about to see another Amber Heard, Johnny Depp situation. I don't perceive Brad Pitt to be a savage, but if these claims are true, oh, he's absolutely a savage. And I'm not saying that based on him whooping on Angelina Jolie. I'm saying that based on him choking his own kids. That's grade A ruthless. Chinese billionaire, yes, that's billionaire with a B, settles U.S. grape allegations. Now, Last I checked, when you have $1 billion, you have infinite amounts of prostitute money. Infinite amount. You can probably get some high quality prostitutes for that kind of money. Why you're in America graping random slores, I don't know. Hard to believe. Also hard to believe that the woman that was victim of this sexual assault didn't know you were a billionaire. I figure she might have Google. I don't know. Chinese billionaire and JD.com founder Richard Liu agreed to settle a lawsuit filed by former University of Michigan student who alleged he raped her in her Minneapolis apartment after a night of dinner and drinks with wealthy Chinese executives in 2018. Attorneys for both sides announced late Saturday. A settlement amount was not disclosed. Oh, I bet it's not disclosed. She might get kidnapped given the kind of money she just fell into. I also find it weird that if she's a college student, which would mean she's very young, why is she out having dinner and drinks with this guy who's a billionaire and an adult? Kind of weird. Richard Liu, who stepped down as the CEO of Beijing-based e-commerce company JD.com this year, amid increased government scrutiny of China's technology industry, has denied graping the woman. Well, for sure. Yeah, but here's the thing. You deny it, but you also settle. I feel like if you got $1 billion, I'd fight this to the bitter end. Well, unless I was guilty. Or, yeah, pretty much unless I was guilty. Maybe he has to keep appearing in court and he's like, hey, it's not worth it. Give this broad $20 million, get her out of my face. Who knows? Anyways, or I feel like for less than $20 million, you could probably make her disappear like David Blaine. Anyways. Prosecutors never filed criminal charges. Oh, so she just went after the money from the giddy. Ah, quite disappointing. Lets you know that she probably really didn't have anything happen to her. A joint statement from attorneys on both sides called the encounter, quote, a misunderstanding, end quote. That's obvious when you have agreed upon language that's repeated on both sides, that, you know, there are non-disclosures, there are certain gag orders in effect, and they've agreed to use certain types of language. Quote, the incident between Mr. Jingyao Liu and Mr. Richard Liu in Minnesota Miss Jingyao Liu and Mr. Richard Liu, oh, they got the same last name? That's curious. In Minnesota in 2018 resulted in a misunderstanding that has consumed substantial public attention and brought profound suffering to the parties and their families, the joint settlement said. Quote, today the parties agreed to set aside their differences and settle their legal dispute in order to avoid further pain and suffering by the lawsuit. The settlement was announced just 2 days before the civil trial was set to begin Monday in a Minneapolis courtroom. On Friday, a jury of 7 men and 5 women were picked to hear the case. Nowadays, when they say men and women, you got to assume some of these males are beta males. All the women are quite liberal and psychotic, so you probably ain't gonna win the case no matter what. He might have been a wise one. You caught up?
No. King Kirk said, going forward, I'll send tuition via Cash App. I don't want Google to get a dime from me. I also want to remind you that I did send a DM for the assassin security footage. Peace to the Saints.
You know what? I actually spoke on that. You may have missed that, saying the assassin security footage that we have from the last member-only Google Hangout. That footage was corrupted. The audio files didn't work because we did a screen share. So that footage is actually non-existent. Hopefully on the next go, you'll be a part of that one live. But that footage had audio issues.
Joshua is back. He said, I have used Google Pay to super chat enough for Google to give me my money. Since they censor you so much, it's all yours. And then on Cash App, we have John Jacob said, peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints. And shout out to the men wising up coming in via Cash App to avoid giving their money to a wicked corporation.
And then Jonathan purchased the briefcase.
Oh, he got his pre-order?
Yep.
Shout out. He's a real one. Wise man.
Yes. Carry on.
Financially responsible. Long-term planning. I like it. Richard Liu is a celebrity in China. Hell, if you're a billionaire, you're a celebrity everywhere. Let's be real here. As soon as you show up, people are going to find out. Part of a generation of entrepreneurs who created the country's internet, e-commerce, mobile phone, and other tech industries since the late 1990s. Forbes estimates his wealth at, oh my God, 10.9 billion. You know, just having 1 billion is plenty. To be honest with you, just 1 billion is plenty. In fact, 100 million, plenty. 10.9 billion, I feel like I'm getting lightheaded. I don't even feel right saying that out loud. Jingyao Liu alleges the attack happened in 2018 while Richard Liu was in Minneapolis for a week-long residency in the University of Minnesota's Doctor of Business Administration China program geared toward high-level executives in China. I'm surprised that he's in that particular program. I feel like he'd be in a program with more name recognition, like Harvard or Yale. UPenn, darling. Wooten. Jingyao Liu, a Chinese citizen, was at the university on a student visa and was a volunteer in the program at the time. The Associated Press does not generally name people alleging sexual assault, but Jingyao Liu has agreed to be identified publicly. Oh, she wants some clout, do she? Jingyao Liu was 21, and Richard Liu was in his mid-40s at the time. Okay, now, does this not sound a little sus? He's 45, she's 21, yet she wants to go out for drinks and dinner. I'm going to go ahead and say this broad set him up. They are not related, the article notes, despite them having the same last name. Richard Liu, also known as Liu Qiangdong, was arrested on suspicion of felony rape in August 2018, but prosecutors said that the case had, quote, profound evidentiary problems, end quote, meaning there ain't no evidence, and declined to file criminal charges. Wow. So you telling me that the liberal American government decided that there was not enough evidence to prosecute, and this boy then still gave this broad a settlement? Man, I wouldn't have gave her a squirt of... Look. Jingyao Liu sued Richard Liu and JD.com in 2019 alleging sexual assault. Oh, she sued the business as well, which had nothing to do with this. This broad's a money-grubbing animal. I can scarcely even read this article. It's so annoying to see this happen to guys. She accused him of sexual assault, battery, and false imprisonment. The case drew widespread attention at the time when the hashtag #MeToo movement was gaining traction in China. Dang, they did it over there too? Say it ain't so. Richard Liu's supporters and opponents wage aggressive public relations campaigns on Chinese social media. Censors shut down some accounts that were supported by Jingyao Liu for, quote, violating regulations. Shout out to them. Jingyao Liu said in her lawsuit that she had to withdraw from classes in fall 2018 and seek counseling and treatment. Saints, by the way, she didn't do that because it was real. She did that because you have a better legal case when you can identify the damage and begin to quantify the impact that it had in your life. Wow, this is truly sick and sad. She stated this in her lawsuit, that she had to withdraw from classes and get counseling. Funny how you didn't have to get any counseling to go to dinner with a billionaire that was more than twice your age, i.e. the age of your parents. Her attorney said that she had since graduated. Oh, she was able to overcome, was she? But has post-traumatic stress disorder. Oh, I bet she does. She sought compensation as well as punitive damages. Her lawsuit said she was seeking more than $50,000, a standard figure that must be listed in Minnesota if a plaintiff intends to seek a larger amount. So basically, she can seek an infinite amount, but if it's more than $50,000, that has to be stated. And I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say her draws probably wasn't worth $50,000. I ain't even seen her, but I put my life on it. She was expected to ask a jury to award much more. Oh, of course. On the night that the alleged attack would have occurred, according to the lawsuit, Richard Liu and other executives went to a Japanese restaurant in Minneapolis, and one of the men invited Jiang Liu at Richard Liu's request. She felt coerced. Oh my God, here we go. She felt coerced to drink. Well, can anybody coerce you to drink alcohol, especially if you're in a public restaurant? These hashtag #MeToo allegations are absolutely ludicrous. Just imagine a man saying he felt coerced to drink. Did they coerce you or did they not coerce you? Did they use physical force? Did they threaten you or did they just say, hey, here's a drink, it's on the house? And you're like, oh, sure, it's free, I'll drink. Come on. A college girl who felt coerced to drink. Last I checked, college girls love drinking. She felt coerced to drink as the powerful men toasted her. And Richard Liu said she would dishonor him if she did not join in, her lawsuit claimed. Oh my goodness. We got to stop this stuff. According to, in fact, we need a law that states what the limits of personal responsibility are, because apparently there seem to be no way to establish what it is. According to text messages reviewed by the Associated Press, Jingyao Liu's interviews with police, she said that after the dinner, Richard Liu pulled her into a limousine and groped her despite her protest. Pulled her into the limousine. Okay. She said, now that would mean you had to be standing like really right next to it when the door opened. Otherwise, you'd be dragging the broad through the whole restaurant. She said he raped her at her apartment. I'm done. So he dragged you into the limousine. Then he forced you to get your key out of your pocket, open the outer gate, go inside of the apartment lobby, take the elevator up to your apartment, forced you to open up your apartment, forced you to invite him into your apartment. Then he raped you and said, nice knowing you, I'm heading home. At one point, she texted a friend, quote, I begged him don't, but he didn't listen. Yeah, shouldn't she have been texting that to a 911 operator? This smells of scam.
Beasto said, Saint, why do you think overall the Chinese are more responsible and wiser with their finances than Americans?
Well, it's cultural. There's no doubt about it. And Americans used to be the same way. You check back maybe half a century, probably a little bit more now. But about half a century ago, Americans used to have a 50% savings rate, kind of comparable to what we see in China. And that's because, number one, we had a bit less of a welfare state, a little bit more prosperity. Capitalism was thriving. Capitalism was something people believed in, but also we had families together. We had the idea of personal responsibility. It's a culture thing. We also didn't have a society that was credit ridden and credit driven. So when you have a place like China where you have real wages, you don't have inflated wages, you don't have high minimum wages, people have to be more thoughtful and plan for the future. So that's why, people are basically behaving according to being rational. Whereas in America, the idea is that you can basically do whatever you want and someone will always come to save you. Whether that someone is the EBT program, the food stamp program, the welfare program, the socialized medicine, etc. Caught up? Yeah. Her friend notified police who went to her apartment. Also, her friend notified police. Oh, goodness. Jing Liu told one officer, quote, I was raped, but not that kind of grape. What in? She said, I was raped, but not that kind of grape. How many versions are there? According to police, when asked to explain, she changed the subject and said Richard Liu was famous and she was afraid. She told the officer that intercourse was spontaneous and she did not want police to get involved. Oh my God. Oh gosh. Police said they released Richard Liu because, quote, it was unclear if a crime had taken place, end quote. In a later interview with an investigator, Richard Liu said that the intercourse was consensual and the woman, quote, enjoyed the whole process very much, end quote. This boy is savage. That was not necessary to say. Jingyao Liu told a police sergeant that she wanted to talk with Richard Liu's attorney and threatened to go to the media if she did not, according to police. Wow. So this broad is clearly angling for money. What kind of victim says, hey, I want to talk to his attorney or else I'll go public? That's a woman who clearly knows that she's going to get the best payday if she doesn't file the criminal charge. She's going to get the best payday if they can keep this quiet at a certain level. So this woman is a really disgusting individual. Hurts my heart to see this kind of thing.
Deeply Goated, who sent the first super chat earlier, also became a patron.
Wow. Shout out to Deeply Goated, and I really appreciate you joining this family. May everyone welcome him warmly to the family, and thank you to those who support the work on patreon.com/The Saint and the Sinner. Wow, I'm going to carry on from this piece of news. Long story short, you got a Chinese harlot who's following after the liberal white women and basically hashtag me-tooing anybody with money. Next news article. Nobel season is here. 5 things to know about the prizes. I'm curious. I do believe that they actually do get some money from the prize. Copenhagen, Denmark. The beginning of October means Nobel Prize season. 6 days, 6 prizes, new faces from around the globe, added to the world's most elite roster of scientists, writers, economists, and human rights leaders. The human rights one is always a scam. The science one, we can usually objectively say, okay, that person added value to the planet Earth. They invented a cure for fill in the blank. They invented a new scientific method. But the human rights one is often a scam. I think that might have been the one that Barack Obama got. Real scammy stuff. Anyways, this year's Nobel season kicks off on Monday with the Medicine Award, followed by daily announcements. Physics on Tuesday, chemistry on Wednesday, so on and so forth. Here are the 5 things to know about the coveted prizes. Who created the Nobel Prize? The prize in medicine, physics, chemistry, literature, and peace were established by the will of Alfred Nobel, a wealthy Swedish industrialist and inventor of dynamite. Oh, man, okay, that's what's up. And he must have been very wealthy indeed. The first awards were handed out in 1901, 5 years after his death. Each prize is worth 10 million kroner, nearly $900,000. Okay, so damn near $1 million. That's pretty good. And will be handed out with a diploma and a gold medal. This is a highly prestigious award, in case you were wondering. The Economics Award, officially known as the Bank of Sweden Prize in Economics Science in memorial of Alfred Nobel, wasn't created by Nobel, but by Sweden's central bank in 1968. Curious. Okay. Between 1901 and 2021, the Nobel Prizes in economics have been awarded 609 times. That's quite a bit. Who knows who will win and why? The Nobel statutes prohibit the judge from discussing their deliberations for 50 years. Wow, this is really some closed-lip stuff. So it's probably going to be a while before we know for sure how the judges made their picks. Wow. The judges try hard to avoid dropping hints about the winners before the announcement, but sometimes the word gets out. Who can nominate a candidate? Thousands of people around the world are eligible to submit nominations. They include university professors, lawmakers, previous laureates, Nobel laureates that is, and the committee members themselves. Although the nominations are kept secret for 50 years, those who submit them sometimes announce their suggestions publicly, particularly to the Nobel Peace Prize. Wow, that's interesting. So theoretically, you and I could have been nominated and we ain't even know it. What about the Norwegian connection? The Nobel Peace Prize is presented in Norway, while the other awards are handed out in Sweden. That's how Alfred Nobel wanted it. His exact reasons are unclear. What does it take to win a Nobel Prize? Patience, for one. Scientists often have to wait decades to have their work recognized by Nobel judges. That's true. And that's because it takes that amount of time for a scientific breakthrough to be, verified and validated. You caught up?
Yeah.
Scientists often have to wait. Oh, excuse me. That's a departure from Nobel's will, which states that the award should endow, quote, those who during the preceding year shall have conferred a great benefit to mankind. See, this is the kind of thing that I hate. It's like, bruh, I left my money and I gave my will and testament of how this money should be distributed. Then random jerk-offs get to decide how my money's going to be distributed according to how they feel. Nah. Go get your own damn money and then you decide. It's like people have no respect for legacy, no respect for heritage, no respect for hierarchy. Truly sad. Anyways, that's pretty much how it goes. This fella had a lot of money. He invented dynamite. He said, I want to distribute this money to those who are adding to human progress in the areas of science, etc. I want my money distributed in this particular way. And some jerk off said, okay, bro, thanks for the money. We going to do what we want to do with it. That happens all the time. Next piece of news. This one is really something we should be looking into. This one is entitled Depositors Storm 4 Lebanese Banks Demanding Their Own Money. I repeat, people robbed a bank, but they were just trying to get their own money out. I really want you guys to understand how important this concept is. For anyone who's a conspiracy theorist, this is where your theories come into reality. Pay close attention to what I'm about to share with you. I've had a lot of experiences like this. If you don't have a lot of money, you'll never know how much Banks, even if they're private banks, are actually really just institutions of government. Banks are used by governments to control the citizens, you and I. I promise you. The reason that governments do not want people to be unbanked, and what I mean by unbanked is to use cash, is because when the government has your money in a bank, they can control you, they can monitor you, they can destroy you. We saw this is one of the things that happened with Tate, right? They stopped his ability to earn money, to store money, to move money. If you have your money in cash, government can't track you, they can't control you. In as much as that's the case, the government wants all transactions to be online transactions, credit transactions, checking card or bank transactions, so that they can follow what your money is doing, how your money is moving. And if the government ever decides that they don't like you, they want to destroy you, they're going to firstly freeze your bank account, which is thereby crippling you, stopping you from being able to provide for yourself, be able to eat, and all the rest of it. Let me tell you something else you'll find out, and you probably never had enough, or many of you probably never had enough money to find this out. If you make a transaction above $10,000, that transaction is sent to the government for documentation and to put the government on alert. Hey, pay attention to this guy. He did a transaction above $10,000. Well, you should ask yourself, well, why is that the government's business? It's my money. Why do they care what I'm doing with my legal money? Why are they watching me like I'm a criminal? Well, they're watching all of us. And the financial system is one of the major tools that the government uses to control, manipulate, silence you and I. Now, here's the funny thing. In addition to making large transactions, if you ever want to just take all your money out of the bank, it is nearly impossible. Yes, I said it. If you are a very wealthy person and say you deposit your money over time into a bank and you accumulate a significant amount of money, let's say in excess of six figures, meaning, or let's say in excess of $100,000 even, and you go to the bank and you want to take all your money out of the bank, all of a sudden they're going to start causing so many issues. They're going to claim they got to get approval from a manager. They're going to claim they got to talk to so-and-so. What they're really doing is forwarding that information to the government. They're going to refuse to give you your money in cash, even though it's within your legal right to take your money out in cash. They're going to claim they don't have it. They're going to claim they have to order it. And they're going to say, hey, you got to come back on this day to get your money in cash. You come back on that designated day to pick up your money in cash. They're going to say that they don't have it and they got to write you out a check. And these are all delay tactics that are occurring intentionally by the bank. And it's mostly because of government regulation and the government actually investigating you. Because what happened, as soon as you tried to withdraw all your money, the government has initiated an investigation on you. And they're going to try to claim that they're doing this under the Banking Secrecy Act and making sure that you're not laundering money. But what they're really trying to do is make sure that they know what you're doing with your money. Make sure you don't take your money out of the country. Another thing you might not know, if you're not a wealthy person, anytime you travel internationally, if you have more than $10,000 in cash on you, you have to declare that. By declare, I mean you have to snitch on yourself to the government and say, hey, I'm taking more than $10,000 in U.S. currency outside of the country. Why? They want to know where you're going, what you're doing, who you're funding. Why? So that the government can control you and control political movements. They don't want those movements funded. So they have to make sure that they're managing what you do with your dollar. Yes, it is one of the most dangerous things. There's a major effort by every government to make sure that everyone is banked. Everyone is using the credit system. Everyone is using online transactions. Everyone's money is essentially kidnapped and held hostage by governments. That's why government is so dangerous, because if you ever get on the wrong side of government, like say Julian Assange, the government is going to seize everything that you own and turn you into a pauper, aka a poor person, overnight. And that's a very scary prospect. And that is how the government often stops revolution from those who are the brightest among us, because we don't want to lose everything we got, everything we worked a lifetime to earn.
Jamal just got the suede fleece sweatshirt and the oversized tie-dye shirt.
That oversized tie-dye shirt is cold. I pretty much got them in every color. The suede one, did he get the black one or the blue one?
He got the gray black one.
Oh, he got the gray black one. Oh, very nice. From mdblabel.com.
Yeah.
Shout out. That's what's up. I got that one myself. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes when you have a depressed economy or you have economic faltering in a country, you find that the banks, you go to the bank, and even though your money is FDIC insured, it's insured by the government, all of a sudden you say, hey, guys, I got fill in the blank amount of money. I want to withdraw it. Give it to me in cash. All of a sudden, the bank starts giving you the runaround. Well, this is what's happening in Lebanon. And you'd be wise to listen to this news article and say, hey, Marquett, I'm about to pay close attention so that I know if these signs start to occur in America, I do the smart thing to protect myself financially. Because here's what's happening in Lebanon. Basically, people who've had their money in these Lebanese banks for a lifetime, their life savings, they can't access them. The banks won't give them their money. Curious. Lebanese depositors, which means citizens with money, including a retired police officer meaning agent of the government, stormed at least 4 banks. Oh, you know it's bad when the police are storming banks. Oh, it's bad. Stormed at least 4 banks in the cash-strapped country Tuesday after banks ended a week-long closure and partially reopened. Now, consider how weird that is when banks close and don't open up. I'm not talking about they didn't close for on Sunday or they didn't close for a holiday or the weekend. No, ladies and saints, I'm saying that they've closed so that you can't get your money out. And they did it on purpose, and the government sanctioned it.
Jay just got the briefcase pre-order.
Shout out to Jay.
And E. Smokum said, how do you separate your money from the banking system? How do we protect ourselves?
You separate your money by one, having it in either assets, whether they're physical assets that are movable by making purchases of things that retain or gain value, things that you can easily move. So for example, it might be very hard to go to your bank and take out $100,000 cash. Trust me, I know. And so that might be very difficult. But if you were to, say, purchase a couple gold bars that are worth $100,000 cash, that's a much easier thing to do. You could do that by wire transfer. You can do that by check. You could, depending on your Amex or what kind of card you have, you could even do that by a card swipe. So that's how you basically pull the money out of the financial system, put it into something that can go into your hand and something that can easily be transported. Now, granted, if you're not flying private and you go through a commercial airport with gold bars, you're going to have some problems. I guarantee you, even though it's your property, all of a sudden it feels like the government property, don't it? That's when you find out that you ain't really free. So there you go. Also, bank accounts in other countries. And like, for example, what the Lebanese are finding out right now in their small little Mediterranean country with their weak economy and their political instability, you're finding out that if you had money only in that bank there in that country, now you're screwed. A wise person might have had a couple bank accounts in different countries, which is to diversify and say, hey, if things go awry in one country, I still got 3 or 4 backup accounts that'll, hold me over until we can get out of this economic turmoil. And generally, economic turmoil is not lasting as long as you would think. It's generally lasting about a year.
Joshua said that oversized tie-dye is cold. Mine came in this week.
You dig in a real way. I'm telling you, there's something about it. It's black tie-dye is unusual. I think that's why I like it so much. You never see black tie-dye. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for the question. Gentleman also writes cryptocurrency. Yeah, I hear that. Let's not promote any cryptocurrency in the chat, especially if you're not super chatting it. So yeah, we don't want to do that here. As the tiny Mediterranean nation's crippling economic crisis continues to worsen, a growing number of Lebanese depositors have opted to break into banks and forcefully withdraw their trapped savings. Lebanon's cash-strapped banks have imposed informal limits on cash withdrawals. What that means is the government is allowing them to hold on to your money. The break-ins reflect growing public anger toward the banks and the authorities who have struggled to reform the country's corrupt and battered economy. 3/4. Oh, now, mind you, real quick, for everybody who's always like in support of, the Western governments going in to save the people and protect the people from their government, seems like the Lebanese need some protecting from their government. Notice nobody's going in to help them, huh? Surprising. Guess they don't have any oil over there. The three-quarters of the population is plunged. Excuse me, three-quarters of the population. Dang. I would say we need to pull up, you heard me, but we might get kidnapped over there. Three-quarters of the population is plunged into poverty. I mean, when regular people are breaking into banks, you heard me, you didn't turn into a bank robber just to make a withdrawal. You got police robbing banks. Nah, I can't pull up over there. They mess around and have me kidnapped, duct taped, and butt raped. Anyways, three-quarters of the... Oh, I didn't even mean to say that word. They got me. Three-quarters of the population has plunged into poverty in an economic crisis that the World Bank describes as one of the worst in over a century. Goodness, over 100 years? That's bad. Meanwhile, the Lebanese pound has lost 90% of its value against the dollar. Lord. For the currency speculators out there, seems like this is a good time to take a short position against the Lebanese pound, and any companies that have significant interest in Lebanon are probably going to tank, and you can probably take a short position against those stocks, making it difficult for the millions across the country to cope with the skyrocketing prices. Oh no, say it ain't so. So you're telling me that their money is worth less, and at the same time prices are skyrocketing? Yikes. And for some reason, America, that's so concerned with helping out the Ukrainians, which have nothing to do with us, and causing us to, lose lives and potentially pop off World War III, we're not helping the Lebanese? Curious. Ali al-Sahili, a retired officer who served in Lebanon's internal security forces, raided a BLC bank branch in the eastern town. And it's funny how his name is out there too, like he just don't care. In the eastern town of Chitara, demanding $24,000 in trapped savings to transfer to his son, who owes rent and tuition fees in Ukraine. Ukrainian universities are still operating, apparently. Okay. Hey, maybe things aren't that bad in Ukraine. Quote, count the money before one of you dies. Dang, that's a statement, ain't it? Al-Salih said in a video he recorded with one hand while waving a gun in the other. Oh, he was turned up. All the way up, you might say. According to Depositors' Outcry, a protest group, Al-Sahli said he had offered to sell his kidney to fund his son's expenses after the bank for months blocked him from transferring money. Oh, that's crazy. Not only are you not allowed to withdraw your money, they won't even let you make purchases. This is wild. With his son owing months of rent and tuition, the retired officer reached out to the protest group for help. Now, let me tell you, these are revolutionary times in Lebanon. They do need a revolution, and I'm speaking of the old world revolution where blood and guts must be spilled upon the soil. And I fully encourage them to be successful in waging this, and hopefully they restore proper capitalism there, not what we're seeing, which has allowed for their economy to have these kinds of falters.
Walton said, I got the man and woman tie-dye in blue and the multicolored. The new MDB label joint is cold as well. Got that one recently.
Hey, in a real way, Walton got it all. That man is dripped out.
You have all three of those too. You have the blue and the multicolored man and woman.
Absolutely. And what I like about the tie-dye is that it's different, and when you got the multicolored one, you got that pop. You dig? A player needs to stand out among these chumps. This is a fascinating article, I must say. In the video he filmed on his cell phone, Al-Sahli waved a handgun, threatening to shoot if bank employees didn't oblige. Number one, you are a really loyal bank employee if you even showed up to work knowing that 9 out of 9, you're about to get robbed at gunpoint, possibly killed. You're a very brave bank employee. I'm going to go ahead and say I would have called off of work. Low key, I would have went to work as a bank employee, withdrew my own money, then called off or maybe quit, Wowzer. Employees struggling to calm him down as protesters from the depositors group and bystanders watched from outside. Al-Sahli was unable to retrieve any of his money, and security forces arrested him. Now, let me tell you what's crazy about this. Joe Biden claimed that the Russian ruble would be rubble, that this currency would crash because of this war in Ukraine. But it turned out that we're seeing in places like Lebanon, their economy is crashing and they're not in war. But in Russia, the economy is pretty damn stable. Nobody's doing anything crazy. No one's raiding the banks. There's no civil unrest at a significant level. So we see that a lot of our political pundits have lied. Would you turn the thermostat lower for me? So a lot of our political class is lying. And for some major reason, this is big news. This is crazy stuff. And how is this not being reported in the American media? In the southern city of Tyre, Ali Hodrush broke into Byblos bank branch demanding about 40 thou and his 40 thou of his trapped savings to pay outstanding loans. Oh, and by the way, for the gentleman earlier that we spoke of who basically got arrested just trying to get his own money so that he could pay for his son's university fees in Ukraine, I hope that son is very thankful to have a father like that, because truth be told, I ain't have parents to pay for my university fees and my housing and the whole nine. So he's privileged. I hope he appreciates the lengths that his father went to support him. That's really, that's wow. Low key, I wouldn't have did it for my own son. I'm like, you 18? Hey, bro, make a way. I done gave you game since you was yay high. You 18, you was a grown man. Go your own way. But hey, shout out to that father trying to show love. Anyways, one guy named Ali goes into Byblos bank branch demanding 40 thou of his own damn money. He held a handgun and fired warning shots. Guess he wanted to let him know he's serious. A security force encircled the area. Hadrash retrieved about 9,000 in Lebanese pounds following negotiations with the head of depositors advocacy group, which was mediating. Low key, if I didn't pull out the click clack and I got the ooh wop and I'm busting off warning shots, I'm gonna need all my money. I ain't taking a fraction. You heard me? I done already got the clapper. Hey, somebody might get clapped. I'm gonna need the whole thing. He was really kind and considerate to take a portion of his own money. By the time the ooh wop come out, I got the Roscoe on me and I'm wielding it. Nah, we gonna need all the money. I'm already over the edge. You might as well preserve your own life and put my money in the bank. And since I'm robbing the bank, put all the money in the bag. Hassan, head of the Association of Depositors in Lebanon, told the Associated Press that Hadraj's family retrieved the money before he turned himself in to the police. Man, these cats are really honorable. Like, they robbed the bank and turned themselves in. Me, when I robbed the bank, I'm trying to get away. Low key, probably trying to get out of the country. But that's just me, though. In Hazmia, near the Lebanese capital, former Lebanese ambassador to Turkey, George Siam, entered an Intercontinental Bank of Lebanon. God, everybody robbing the bank. I don't think I'm going to make it through this article. Long story short, if you got a clapper, you going to rob the bank in Lebanon. Period. Everybody robbed the bank. The police to rob the bank. The politicians robbing the bank robbing the bank. I might show up and rob the bank. Everybody robbing the bank. And it's a real sad thing because your currency lost 90% of its value any damn way. Which is to say, if you got $1,000, you really just got $100. Hurts. Carrying on.
On Cash App, Devin said peace to the Saints. Still waiting for that piece on Focus.
What, he wants a video on how to focus?
I guess.
I think we probably got some content on that already. Saint, send me a DM on patreon.com/thesaintthecenter. Let me know what you speak of. Next piece of news is probably interesting to the legions who follow Elon Musk. Quote, this headline is entitled, Musk's plan to end Russian war infuriates Ukraine on Twitter. On Twitter. Okay, cool. All right, shout out to Musk hair plugs guy. He's extraordinary. Elon Musk has gotten into Twitter tussle with Ukrainian President Zelensky after the tech billionaire floated a divisive proposal to end Russia's invasion. Let's hear what Musk has to say. The Tesla CEO, who on Tuesday revived a $44 billion deal to take control of Twitter, argued in a tweet that to reach peace, Russia should be allowed to keep the Crimea Peninsula that it seized in 2014. Of course, they already seized it. He also said Ukraine should adopt a neutral status, dropping a bid to join NATO. They better if they want to survive. This is completely reasonable stuff. Following Russia's partial mobilization of reservists. Musk also crossed red lines for Ukraine and its supporters by suggesting Monday that 4 regions Russia is moving to annex following Kremlin orchestrated referendum denounced by the West, as this is the longest run-on sentence in the history of run-on sentences. Long story short, Elon Musk says, hey, if Russia already took it, let them have it. Yeah, I tend to agree, because at the end of the day, can't nobody take it from them, so everything else is just lip service. Musk noted Crimea was part of Russia until it was given to Ukraine under the Soviet Union in the 1950s, and said that a drawn-out war will likely not end in a Ukrainian victory. Yeah, we know this. All it really is going to end in is the bleeding out of America's taxpayer. It will end in the demise of the American empire. These positions are anathema for Zelensky, who considered them pro-Kremlin. Oh, they're not pro-Kremlin. They're pro-reason. They're pro-logic. They're pro-America. They're pro-peace. The Ukrainian leader, and mind you, it's easy for him to be pro-war, because if Ukraine loses the war, it doesn't benefit him. Zelensky, if Ukraine loses the war, they lose territory. He's going to be the president that presided over the loss of Ukraine's territory, which is not a good position to go down in history. Furthermore, he ain't paying for the war, so Zelensky doesn't mind keeping the war going. The war is being paid for on the backs of the American citizen, and apparently a couple of the Europeans as well. These positions are anathema for Zelensky. Yeah. Musk also launched a Twitter poll asking whether, quote, the will of the people, end quote, should decide if seized regions remain part of Ukraine or become part of Russia. In a sarcastic response, that's what we need, Zelensky. We need sarcasm from you. Thank you. Zelensky posted a Twitter poll of his own asking, quote, which Elon Musk do you like more? One who supports Ukraine or one who supports Russia? Okay, so you're playing games on Twitter while your countrymen are bleeding unnecessarily. Very clever, Zelensky. Musk replied to Zelensky that, quote, I still very much support Ukraine, but I'm convinced that massive escalation of the war will cause great harm to Ukraine and possibly the world, end quote. Oh, it's already harmed much of the world economy, for example. Now, funny thing, Musk is really helping himself out with this kind of a spat between himself and a head of state. You see, if Zelensky was wise, he wouldn't have gotten into this spat with Elon Musk, because if your country's at war and you're losing the war, you probably got bigger fish to fry than having some kind of a debate with some business guy, right? Theoretically, Musk should be irrelevant to him.
J. Marco sent a cash app and said peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. Shout out to J. Marco. And Elon Musk is winning this because no matter what, by mere fact that Zelensky is responding to him, Zelensky is making him relevant and suggesting as though he has to contend with Elon Musk's ideas on geopolitics, which he doesn't, because Elon Musk does not rule the world. He does not even rule the American economy, and he does not rule, our foreign policy. I think the little country in the Middle East that was created recently rules our foreign policy. I ain't gonna name which country it is, you dig? But let's just say my grandma ordered in this particular country. It was a false creation. Carrying on. Quote, Russia is doing partial mobilization. They go full war mobilization if Crimea is at risk. Death on both sides will be devastating, end quote, Musk wrote in another tweet. That's not true. Death on the Russian side will not be devastating. Quote, Russia has over 3 times the population of Ukraine. I've said this before. So victory for Ukraine is unlikely in total war. Don't forget about the nukes. If you care about the people of Ukraine, seek peace, end quote. Yes, Musk is saying something that's not popular, but completely reasonable. I said these things so long ago. I think Musk might be watching the ism. The Kremlin itself chimed in, praising the Kremlin shouldn't have did that. That was not wise. They should have just let him speak his piece and not said anything. This was foolish. Historically, I want to point out that Chinese and Russian propagandists are not very good at propaganda. They don't understand the concept of subtlety. They don't understand the concept of hiding your hand. Now these fools have stepped out into the light, and then next thing you know, there's going to be rumors that Elon Musk is a Russian puppet. The Kremlin itself chimed in, praising Musk for his proposal, but warning that Russia will not backtrack on its move to absorb the Ukrainian regions. Oh, I believe him. Quote, it's very positive that such a person as Elon Musk is trying to look for a peaceful settlement, end quote. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Tuesday. But, quote, as for the referendums, people have voiced their opinion and there could be nothing else, end quote. Ukraine and the West have said that the hastily organized votes, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Basically, they're saying they don't agree with the vote. Understood. Musk's ideas seem to get little support on Twitter. Of course not. He's going up against a whole blockade of Western propaganda, including from Russian chess great and anti-Putin political activists. Who cares what a chess guy says? Chess is a game, just like a video game is a game. It happens to be a board game that involves strategy. Who cares what a chess master has to say? His opinion is irrelevant. Carrying on. Long story short, the summary of that article is that Elon Musk said something reasonable, which is, hey, Ukraine, you can't win this war. You might as well give up. I tend to sign off on that. Here's an interesting one. Headline is entitled, Uganda's President Fires Military Son After Offensive Tweets. I always support those people who are smart enough and principled enough to know when to discipline their kids or fire them from the jobs that they didn't deserve in the first place. Here we go. Man, I'm ready to have breakfast. Do you know what time breakfast starts? 7 a.m.?
They might have all day room service there.
I don't want to order room service because I want my omelet to be a little hot and fresh. And those omelets were turbo fire. Anyways, Uganda. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni, and by the way, this dude has been in power for a long time because I know this guy's name from when I was in undergrad. So he been going in for a cool little minute. Anyways, Museveni fired his son as commander of the nation's infantry forces Tuesday after his son tweeted an unprovoked threat. You heard it, a threat. Yes, you also heard it, tweeted a threat to capture the capital of neighboring Kenya, drawing widespread concern in East Africa. First off, Uganda ain't built like that. Uganda would not defeat Kenya in a military conflict. This is something I know for sure. Kenya would beat the living snot out of Uganda. No offense if you're Ugandan. And yes, I hear Ugandan women are thick as hell. I need to go see. But anyways, that was completely dumb. I would have fired him. I would have personally had him sent to my office and I would have said, hey, record this for Twitter. Pimp slapped him and then fired him. Lieutenant General Muhoozi Karimbunga, or Karingum, one more attempt. Kanerugum, one more try. General Muhoozi Kainerugamba, I think that's as close as we getting today, folks, dubbed the tweeting general of Uganda in recent months. Okay, so that's his son's name. God damn, why didn't they just say the son? God damn, why they put me through all that? So the son of the president of Uganda, who's been dubbed the tweeting general, which this is an embarrassment. Why is your son acting like a TikTok thought? Why is your son, who's supposed to be a serious military man, on Twitter any damn ways? And why is he sharing potentially classified information? I don't know, war plans, intentions on Twitter. Very strange. Anyways, in recent months had sparked anger among some Ugandans who see this frequent posting on Twitter as provocative and even dangerous. I agree. He has tweeted in support of the Tigray rebels fighting Ethiopian federal troops. Good Lord. He's voiced support for violent rebels fighting in eastern Congo. This boy think he a Twitter revolutionary. He said all Africans support Russia in its war in Ukraine. Well, that is one very interesting piece of news, I must concede, and a lot of people don't know anything about this. Let me give you guys some real game. What you might not know is that many superpowers have Africa as a battlefield. America, China, and Russia. And what you might not know is that in certain landlocked countries that have fairly depressed economies, like say Central African Republic, Russia is actually quite seriously entrenched, and they've done a lot to secure the regimes there. They've offered paramilitary, they've offered training, and in some cases they've offered loans to the governments there. So the governments are very much so pro-Russia. And even the young people and the university students are pro-Russia because, truth be told, you can't go to university when there's civil war and unrest in a country. So when the Russian military or paramilitary comes and they stabilize your country, you're happy because you get to go to university, you have stability, and your economy can operate. So you do have a lot of parts of Africa that are indeed pro-Russia. And I think parts of Africa are starting to wake up and realize that the Chinese are largely predatory and that America is largely misguided and has no coherent policy. Associated Press writes, bizarrely, he recently said he was offering 100 Longhorn cattle, apparently as a bride price for Italy's incoming female prime minister. This dude's a comedian. Some of Kainerugaba supporters say his tweets are attempts at humor. See, that's what annoys me in this era. If you're going to be a man, be a serious man, unless you indeed are an entertainer, unless humor is a strategy in spreading your message. If you're already in government and your father is the prime minister or the president, you don't need to engage in this. You might see me do some goofy videos. It's to bring attention to the ism, to bring eyes to the YouTube channel. But indeed, I'm a serious man. That's why I do sessions like this on Trending News. You hate to see a military man cracking jokes on Twitter. It's quite pathetic. Many others see a bigger problem. As an army officer, he is continually barred from engaging in partisan politics, and some Ugandans point out that any other soldier tweeting like him would have been court-martialed, and I agree. Quote, it wouldn't take us, my army and me, 2 weeks to capture Nairobi, end quote. This is a load of garbage. This is completely not true. And I say this as one who has studied this particular possibility of conflict. And just side note, the Kenyan economy is not as dynamic as it is on paper. I want to state that for the record. That needs to be known. The infrastructure is not as developed as you would expect, given the prestige of the Kenyan nation. But certainly Uganda damn sure is not on par with Kenya. Point blank, period.
Hey, John the Don said, do you think making mistakes are inevitable in the process of growth and success? Could you speak on it? Peace to the saints.
Well, clearly, life is failure mixed with success. And by failure, some of these failings occur from circumstance, things that are beyond your control. Other times it occurs from inexperience. For example, if you were to become a millionaire, that is a bit of a burden at some level as much as a blessing because you've never been a millionaire before. You have to learn what it feels like to deal with that sum of money. There are certain things you're just unaware of. And then even if you were to become famous, you have to live life in a different way. Recently, we saw that PNB Rock was gunned down because his goofball broad posted his current location and some savages pulled up and bodied him. Now, for example, in my case, if I were to post my current location in Monaco, it doesn't matter because the people who are likely to kill you, they're not in Monaco. They can't afford to be in Monaco. So it's fine if I post my location because the broke people who rob, steal, and kill, they're not in Monaco. But if you're in LA, they're quite close, my dear boy, and they will be pulling up. So when you're a millionaire, when you're wealthy, you have to learn to ease into that lifestyle, whether it means fiscal management or it means just safety. So mistakes are a part of life. It's a part of being human. But the key is not holding yourself hostage to your past when you make a mistake and moving forward. Thank you. Kenyan President William Ruto, who took power last month, is friendly with Museveni, the president in question, whom he described as the region's father during his inauguration. That's a very kind word. And he is the region's father because he's goddamn been in power forever. He's been running Uganda forever. So it's good to hear that East Africa is, at peace. And I know they've been seeking greater economic collaboration. They have a lot of cultural ties. They have Swahili in common. And I don't want to see that region fractured because of one imbecile who doesn't know how to control his feminine tendencies on Twitter. Next piece of news, which I find to be curious, Finnish city removes last publicly displayed statue of Lenin. Now, though I don't agree with Lenin's overall ideas and his certain driving forces that Lenin had, I'm certainly not a communist. I'm not a Leninist. I'm quite the opposite. I'm I'm a free market capitalist. I'm one who doesn't like too much regulation. I'm one who believes in the American way, the classic American way that made us strong and powerful. However, to take down a statue of Lenin is to destroy pieces of history. To take down a statue of Lenin is to deny the history there in Finland. To take down a statue of Lenin is to try to literally pull down something that was erected as a monument to his greatness. Though I disagree with him, we can even respect our ideological enemies and acknowledge that Vladimir Ilyich Plekhanov Lenin was a genius among men. And he is a person who is historically relevant and will continue to be relevant into the future indefinitely. I think it is completely despicable to take down a statue of Vladimir Ilyich Plekhanov Lenin, who is a legend and truly a great man. And if any of us would accomplish a small fraction of what he's done, not only as an intellectual, but also as an actual revolutionary and as a statesman, boy, we could die feeling very accomplished.
Hey, Justin's in a Cash App. He said, "Peace to the saints. I appreciate the constant education."
Hey, peace to the saints. And you know what? The education is deep, and I am glad that you guys are soaking it up. And I do believe that as we educate you guys, you will carry on this knowledge into smart voting. You'll carry on this knowledge into raising your children, into living a greater life. And so it's a pleasure, and I thank you for supporting this. And you're paying your tuition and the tuition of the multitudes who might see this and not necessarily support it. So I thank you on their behalf as well. Helsinki. A city in southeastern Finland on Tuesday removed the country's last publicly displayed statue of Russian revolutionary leader Vladimir Lenin following pressure from residents in the wake of Russia's war in Ukraine. This is so stupid. Why is this stupid? Number one, because the modern Russian state is not one that Lenin would probably approve of. The modern Russian state is a creation more of Joseph Jugashvili, also known as Joseph Stalin. It is not the brainchild of Vladimir Lenin. So this is completely foolish. And I don't know if this is the residents taking an opportunity to just make a show of support for Ukraine, or if this is the effort of those who are perhaps nationalists to remove a monument to a foreigner out of their particular nation. I don't know what's truly motivating this, but it is not logical to remove this statue of Vladimir Lenin because he is not the architect of the modern Russian state. Joseph Jugashvili, that is Vladimir Stalin, or excuse me, Joseph Stalin is the architect of the modern Russian state. Everyone who knows any amount of Russian history is very much so aware of this. A group of construction workers in Kokta, a port city of 52,000, not far from the border with Russia, hoisted the statue onto a truck, drove it away to a warehouse of a local museum. City Museum Director Kirsi Niku told Finnish public broadcast YLE that the bronze bust was designed and constructed by Estonian sculptor blah, 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 blah on orders from Moscow in the late 1970s. It was presented to Kotka in 1979 as a gift of friendship from the city Tallinn, then the capital of Estonia, which was a Soviet republic. Long story short, the statue came down. We don't exactly know why. We'll probably never know why. The beautiful thing is that the statue and the history is being preserved in a museum. This is the kind of thing that your boy would buy. You dig? If I was a citizen in that country, when I heard that statue was coming down, I probably would have paid to have the construction workers go take it down, and I would have put that in my own personal residence. You dig? You know, you always got to think, and try to be on the bleeding edge of things. Next headline. You caught up? Fantastic. Police. California serial killer, quote, on a mission in slangs. Let's see if he's on a good mission. Let's see who he's slaying. Stockton, California. By the way, if you've ever been to the South Bay or anywhere near it, you know Stockton is lit. Stockton, California. A California serial killer seems to be on a mission throughout the fatal shooting of 6 men and the wounding of 1 woman dating back to last year. Ballistics tests and some video evidence linked to crimes in Stockton and Oakland, about 70 miles apart, quote, We don't know what the motive is. Oh, good police work. What we do believe is that it's mission oriented, end quote. Tell me more. Stockton Police Chief Stanley McFadden said Tuesday, quote, this person's on a mission, end quote. The first fatal shooting was in Oakland in April 2021. The woman was wounded in Stockton days later. More than a year passed, then the 5 killings in Stockton took place between July 8th and September 27th, all within the radius of a few square miles. Although police would not say whether all 7 shootings had been linked to the same gun, McFadden alluded to a single pistol during the news conference. Okay. Quote, I have absolutely no answer as to why that pistol went dormant for 400 days. That is over a year. Between April 2021 shootings and the first case this summer, police chief said. Authorities last week announced that 5 men in Stockton were ambushed and shot to death alone in the dark. On Monday, police said that 2 additional cases last year had been tied to those killings. Okay, so basically we got a maniac on the loose who's shooting people dead. He's killed quite a few people, 6 people. That's respectable, especially to get away with that in this day and age with the kind of ballistics and forensics evidence that can be accumulated. I'm going to go ahead and say he's probably killing minorities. Why do I say that? Because there's a $125,000 reward leading to information for his arrest. Truth be told, $125,000, not that damn much money. I think a private citizen could put that up. You'd think a government would put up a lot more money for 6 bodies. I was right. The first killing targeted Juan Vasquez Serrano, age 39 in Oakland. Yep, minorities being killed. We don't care that much. We'll put up $125K. If we catch them, we catch them. If not, who cares? Got it. Understood. Well, that's that one. Last headline here. Oh, I like this one. Headline reads, relatives plead for tips on kidnapped family, including baby. Relatives of a family kidnapped at gunpoint. Damn, he kidnapped the whole family. That's ruthless. From their trucking business. Oh, this is about money. Surprise, surprise. In Central California, pleaded for help on Wednesday in search of an 8-month-old girl. That's right. He didn't kidnap the baby. Now, me personally, I'm going to go ahead and say that baby ain't alive if he's just a kidnapper and he wants money, because nobody wants to be changing diapers while they're waiting for the ransom money. So that baby probably ain't alive unless this person's a sex criminal, in which case that baby might be alive going through torturous circumstances. All in all, I pride myself on my ruthlessness. Would I kidnap a baby? Can't even say I would do it, which means that the person who did this crime, they're a real animal. They need to be caught and killed immediately. Let's carry on a little bit. They're in search for an 8-month-old baby, her mother, father, and uncle. Okay, they kidnapped the mother as well. Okay, so maybe she's taking care of the baby. They were taken by a convicted robber who tried to kill himself a day after the kidnapping. Oh, this guy's a nut. Authorities say they had surveillance video of the kidnapping. Aruhi Deri, the child's mother, Jocelyn Kaur. Okay, this must be an Indian family based on the surname Kaur. Father Jasdeep Singh. Okay, we all know Singh is Indian. And uncle Amandeep Singh from their busing in Merced, a city of 86,000 people. It's also a university city. The video showed the suspect first walking by the property before talking to one of the men. Later, it shows him leading the men who had their hands zip-tied behind their back. The suspect then went back to the trailer that served as the business office and led Jasdeep Singh, who was carrying her baby in her arms. Oh, that's truly sad. Family members said nothing was stolen from the trucking company, but that their relatives were all wearing jewelry. I believe that. Merced County Sheriff said that after the kidnappings, an ATM card belonged to one of the victims was used in Atwater, a city about 9 miles away. Man, you got to be an idiot if you're using their ATM card, because even if they have a high ATM withdrawal limit, and the most you can withdraw on an average ATM card for like a wealthy person might be 3,000 US dollars. The most you can withdraw at a single ATM generally is going to be about 1,000 US dollars. So if he wanted to max that out, most he's going to get is 3,000 USD, which is not enough money for me to kidnap a whole damn family. That's outrageous. So this person clearly is not high IQ and they're not mentally well. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and see what the outcome of this was. Relatives of Jesus Salgado, age 48, contacted authorities reporting that he had admitted to them that he was involved in the kidnapping. Uh-oh. So he done snitched on himself. Okay. Quote, I can tell you that every time he has even come near consciousness, he has been violent, end quote. Okay. The heck? So I guess they're talking about the kidnapper. He's been violent. All right. Okay, I'm scrolling down. It doesn't have a resolution, so it appears that this kidnapper is still at large, and the sheriffs speculate, quote, that this is financially motivated. Yes, it is, but the more dangerous thing is that this is a kidnapping that has been undertaken by a low IQ person. And the problem with low IQ individuals is generally they don't think things out, and in the absence of planning this out, it makes it higher likelihood that they're going to make bad decisions and that this could end in fatality. My heart really goes out to these people. I hope that this family is able to make it home safe and sound. Hopefully we can all send out some prayers and some well wishes to this family, and especially to that 8-month-old little girl. That is truly tragic. Saints, that has been your news for today. If there's any news that I missed, feel free to send that in right now. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments that you would like to share before we wind down, please do let me know. And may I, of course, thank those of you who have supported this work. It really does mean a lot. May I also thank those who are within this family, our members, the real saints, you dig. Well, saints, it has been a true pleasure to have this time to fellowship with you. Let us end this. I guess I didn't give them very much time, but if they send something in, let me know. Let us end this with our tradition, the Creed of Assassin. Repeat after me with full conviction, knowing this is true of you. The Creed of the Assassin. I am going to be who I truly am because I am remarkable, and I'm going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Until next time, peace to the saints.